Indianapolis Raceway Park, IRP. Summertime home for the sound of thunder. But we begin tonight without the flashy video. We won't even cue the band. We focus instead on our special feelings for those brave souls with the will to win. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain. In this racing season already stalked by tragedy, the USAC community, our community, have this week lost a champion. Number 69, Robbie Stanley, 3 times king of the sprint car division, died at the wheel at Winchester Speedway. And so we come sadly to IRP and this 49th annual night before the 500. Over my shoulder, the excitement is about to begin, and a bit further up 16th Street, the huge crowd is already gathering for tomorrow's 78th running of the 500 itself. The arenas await us, but on nights like this, it's tough to move inside. So let's take a moment to prepare ourselves, a quiet moment before the engines roar, a moment of silence shared with the fans and friends of Robbie Stanley, in which we try to put his death into perspective. That's what he would have wanted. How often we hear that phrase at times like this. We come to the next race knowing that's what Robbie would have wanted. He gave his life for the thing he loved most, driving race cars. That's what Robbie would have wanted. Are those just words with which we hope to comfort Ron and Rita, Ryan and Michelle? Words with which we justify our own love of a sport in which men sometimes die? No, I don't think so. I think that somewhere behind those words we find a basic division within the human family. Over there, the vast majority fear death above all else, avoid its risk at all cost, and pray that they will go in their sleep never looking the inevitable in the eye. But over here, the arena is reserved for those special few, for those who climb mountains, fight wars, fly to the moon, drive race cars. Those special few accept that death is the inevitable consequence of living. They refuse to hide from the inevitable. They conquer their fear, live their life to the fullest, and most will roar into old age with wonderful memories of it all. We head into the arena tonight with our own memories of one who will not make it to old age, but we are greatly comforted by the knowledge that Robbie Stanley was among those special few. And now to tell us about the excitement that awaits in the arena, my Saturday Night Thunder colleagues, Gary Lee and Larry Rice.
Thanks, Dave. Larry Rice, the racing arena is not a sport, it's a family, and at a time like this, we all hurt.
That's right, and like most families, sometimes there are squabbles. Robbie Stanley, he was very aggressive, and sometimes he was criticized for that. But he was never criticized for his love for the sport or how hard he tried, and for that, we'll always remember him. And it's with the heavy heart that we do continue on this evening to a major event on the USAC season. This is a doubleheader, the 49th annual night before the 500 with the Midgets and also the rear-engine Formula 2000 cars. Let's take a look now at the format for this evening's racing. We have concluded qualifying, and the top 10 in qualifying for the 2000 cars are already in the feature. The top 6 qualifiers for the Midgets. We'll have then 2 heat races in each division with a 40-lap feature for the 2000 cars and a 50-lapper for the Midgets. It's a major night in motorsports, so we'll buckle up downstairs and get ready for work, Dave.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Whatever else has happened this month, there is no more exciting time for the race fan than the month of May in Indianapolis, and no more exciting night than the night before the 500. I'm going to head into the arena. We'll take a quick break, fire the engines, and come back with the action. Stay with us.
Where they start the cars is the first pit to the turn-on in.
Secondly, we have an opportunity in Mexico. And I was wondering if you could just go over and give my guy a plug there. Because I know you run through the
F2000 or
yeah, F2000.
which car?
Look at the pits.
And I know you always find I don't care what you say, you know. Here's another person, subject to
Pan back.
where the entries are from. Good luck. And
A little more. Pan left. Right.
What's his name? His name is Jim Guthrie. And he does not know that I'm doing this.
Okay. Is he pre-qualified?
Yeah, he just qualified for the feature.
In one of these 2 races?
One of the heat races.
Yep. Cliff Jacobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Cliff Jacobs.
Yeah. And I would,
I'll see if I can get it in.
Do you know when you might be over there?
No, I don't. With these live shows, you never know. I mean, that's just
You know, you always walk in and say, "Oh,
the real crapshoot because they got so much to get into the truck. But I'll try.
okay, super, thanks. You
Okay,
just
man.
park right over here in the corner,
Right over here, right?
Yeah, right there. Straight ahead.
Got you. Thanks.
We got the full
Okay.
obituary from Robbie did have a sister named Rhonda. Just called, and 2 surviving grandparents. You can have it if you want it.
Great, thanks.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes,
I know that.
Hey, we've seen these guys before, Larry Rice, the Copenhagen Skull Midgets with USAC here at Raceway Park. We are ready for the first of 2 qualifiers, 15 laps each, and let's take a look at the starting lineup. Randy Tolsma, who's just moved here from Boise, Idaho. Meridian, Idaho, make that, is on the pole. Mike Bliss alongside in 9L. In the second row, Steve Barth and Chuck Leary, last year's Rookie of the Year in this series. In the third row on the inside, Paige Jones out of California and Tice Carlson. In row 4, Jim Mahoney and Perry Younds. The fourth row will find Jim Beckley out of Colorado and Jack Runyon in a new V8-powered midget. In the sixth row on the inside, Keith Butler and Jeff Hampton. Row 7, inside, Mel Kenyon, the 7-time USAC National Champion, and Richard Warrens outside in 0-4. In the eighth row, Michael Lang in number 20 and Mike Mason in number 7. In row 9 on the inside, Roger McCluskey Jr. and Dale Ballinger.
Yeah, these guys are really raring to go. Runyon was telling me in that red number 7 right there earlier that this little V8 engine really makes a lot of torque. He said it really wants to spin the tires coming off the corner. You got to be careful. And he said it really seems to pull all the way down the straightaway. He's very impressed with that new engine.
That's the Jack's Tool Rental entry. He was second in rookie standings last year, made his Silver Crown debut earlier this year, so he'll run the Silver Crown cars as well as the midgets. Let's see what this new V8 that's debut can do here this evening as Randy Tolsma brings them down for the start. Randy, of course, won a very stirring battle here last year with Mike Bliss for the victory, but look at that. Mike Bliss, who won earlier this season here at Raceway Park, takes the lead. You talk about a super midget team. That's the Steve Lewis Performance Racing with the Beast and the Gertie. They have 3 cars here this evening. Oh, some trouble right there on the high side. That was Chuck Leary, the Leary Brothers Construction, and he gets passed for a position by Steve Barth. Barth in the number 14 car.
Paige Jones in that white number 9 car got one great start. He came all the way from the third row back up to third position.
Trap speed going into 115 miles an hour for the midgets, but as you say, they really can't carry that speed quite as well through the turns as these 2000 cars can.
That's exactly right, Gary. They are running faster down the straightaway, no question about it. These engines are bigger, more cubic inches. They run faster down the straightaways, but they just can't carry the speed because of the design of the race cars through the corner nearly as well as those low slumber engine cars.
We're looking at Paige Jones to the inside of Tolsma, and he makes the pass. Can he make it stick? Yes, and now the Steve Lewis Performance Racing entries are running 1 and 2. The third entry this evening driven by Jimmy Sills, who won that Silver Crown race at the Indiana State Fairgrounds last night, qualified 4, so he is already in the feature.
Yes, Tolsma, I think he finally decided maybe he just better get out of the throttle and let him go. This is the Johnny Vance car. The number 1 of Mahoney trying to get around Leary. He's working very hard on Leary, but he doesn't seem to be able to get around him.
Jim Mahoney, a great pavement driver, runs for Johnny Vance on the pavement in sprint cars, and Vance said, you know, the kid is so good, he deserves a good midget ride, so Johnny went out and bought this car for him.
That's exactly right. That's what Mahoney told me. He says, John asked me if I had a midget ride, and he said no, and he said, okay, I'll go buy one. That's exactly what he did, and put him in this car, and it's an excellent race car. I think it came out of California. He said the only problem with it is it's a little short. It's a short wheelbase race car. Boy, this looks like a Pete and repeat here, doesn't it? You can't really tell them apart.
I've not been drinking, but I'm seeing double.
Exactly.
In the pit area, you see 3 of those cars lined up side by side. So right now, the Steve Lewis Performance Racing entries are 1, 2. And look at this battle again for position. Mahoney on the low side slips just a little bit, slides up behind Chuck Leary.
Leary seems to be kind of holding up the pack. Perry Younts down on the inside there trying to make a pass. I think maybe he might have pulled that off.
Well, the 17 car we saw there for a brief moment was Tice Carlson, as once again the Johnny Vance number 1 car with Mahoney in the cockpit, right on the heels of the Leary Brothers Construction entry. And that is Chuck Leary, who was our Midget Rookie of the Year last year. Chuck has also made his Silver Crown debut and had a good ride last night.
Exactly, and he did a nice job in that car. The dirt car race we saw last night at the Foyt Group put on out at the fairgrounds is one of the nicest we've seen for a long, long time. A lot of very, very competitive race cars.
Half the race over. Once again, 9 drivers will transfer.
As we look at there's 1 and 2. This is Bliss and Paige Jones, the 2 white number 9 cars, really battling up there. Jones caught him, but he doesn't seem to be able to do much with him right now as we go all the way back. Here's 7 and 8, I think.
Yeah, 9th position now is Runyon. Jack Runyon in that red 7 car we talked about earlier with that V8 power plant is back there in the 9th position. That is the final transfer spot.
Well, look at Paige Jones. He's working on him very hard. Look at him. He's getting a nice run coming off the corner. He dropped down a little bit low, but could not gain enough speed to make a move on him getting into the 3.
Not only are these guys combatants, but they're also good buddies. Spent a lot of time this month at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway together. And there is the battle for the 9th and final transfer spot. As quickly we go back to the battle for the lead because, well, there's the battle again for the transfer spot. That is Jim Beckley in the orangey red number 3. He comes out of Colorado.
Jim Beckley is a longtime midget racer out of the Denver area. He's a pavement specialist basically out there in the Denver area. He's very, very good. He's working very hard on young Runyon right now, but Runyon seems to be able to have enough horsepower to hold him off. Look at this.
Working hard on somebody. Paige Jones, wheel to wheel on the inside. Hang on. Ooh. Steve Lewis has to be holding his breath right now.
When you got both cars battling each other, it sometimes gets a little testy. But Paige Jones was smart enough not to run into him. Look at this. Beckley just takes the transfer spot. Nice job by Jim Beckley. He just drove down the inside and went into the corner a lot harder in turn 3.
And look at this battle for the lead. That is Paige Jones on the inside, and that is Bliss on the outside. He's sawing on that wheel as though he's driving on dirt.
He was working very, very hard. And I'm going to tell you something. You don't see Mike Bliss get passed like that very often on this racetrack. He's an expert on this racetrack and on the pavement. And Paige Jones really did a nice job.
Remember what Mike Bliss did at this racetrack last year. The only driver ever to win a midget sprint and the Silver Crown race all in the same season on his way to the Silver Crown title.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see. This racetrack is very hard on tires. And, you know, if you abuse your tires just a little bit, even in a short race, it can cost you some speed.
White flag as they come up behind a slower car. That's the 04 car of Richard Bournes. And it looks like Paige Jones will have this one now. A half lap to go as Sills now, or Sills is in the other 9 car. That's Bliss.
You got too many of them.
Too many white 9s out there this evening. There's the checkered flag for Paige Jones, the youngest son of the great Parnelli Jones. In fact, his brother is working with the crew this evening. PJ is also here.
Yeah, and they gave Parnelli a new pace car this afternoon or this morning at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway drivers meeting. So I think that family's pretty happy group.
Did he wear the other one out?
No, but they just gave him a new one. Thought he needed her.
Yeah. Well, then I'm going to drive the pace car next year.
that's what I told him. I said everybody's going to want that job next year.
As Paige Jones as he takes the victory in the first of 2 15-lap qualifiers for the Midgets this evening. So he will start in the 7th spot. Only the fastest 6 are inverted. And Dryden, of course, was the fast qualifier. Tony Stewart was second. As we take a look at the top 5 there from the first of those 2 midget races. I thought you said that the 9th position was the 3 car.
Yeah, I think it was. No.
No. The 3 car is the red car. That's the 33 of Kenyon. Well, Kenyon.
That's Kenyon.
Kenyon the yellow car. Michael Lang's in the white 20, and the 12 car is
Ballinger probably. That was beyond 9th. That was back.
That was way back.
Well, what a stud you are. That was a nice pass. We'll look at it again, let you talk to it. Let's try to get Miller in it if we can, Brad.
Do what?
Try to get me Miller in it if you can.
Hey, tell Dave to call him Shirley. 2.5.
Okay, he saw it. We're back in Indianapolis, Indiana, where Dad won the 500 and where Paige Jones has just won this qualifying heat with a spectacular pass on Mike Bliss, Tolsma, Barth, and Leary. Rounding out the top 5, Mahoney, Younts, Beckley, Runyon, and Ballinger are your top 10, and so we're joined here by Paige Jones. And first of all, our congratulations on the proverbial nice bit of driving.
Well, thank you. You know, IRP hasn't been my greatest place in the past, and you know, thanks to Lewis, he's given me an opportunity to come back here and run, and you know, cars are working good, and it's easy to run up front with them.
Yeah, obviously both of them are working good. Bliss was a handful, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He's running real good, and he's run that Buick V6, and you know, he runs pretty good down the straightaways. So you know, it was tough to get by him, but he was a little bit loose, which gave me the edge on him.
I don't know if you're going to be able to see this little piece of tape we want to show you, but we're going to take a look. Let's just walk over here so we can see the thing. It's hard to talk about it if you can't see it. Take a look at this. This is before the pass, and I think you about spun her out, didn't you?
Yeah, I was real loose that time, and I figured I better get out of it before I back this one into him. So, you know, the next lap I knew it was pretty sticky still down there, and I knew we could get underneath him. And he was, you know, he was having to baby it through the corners because he was loose, and you know, I was able to get alongside of him and outrun him down the straightaway.
You saw on that wheel pretty good there, though, weren't you? You didn't want to leave another big old black mark on that racetrack.
That's right. You know, we left one last week, and don't want to leave another one this week, especially on that outside fence down there.
Main event, you're going to have some scrambling to do because there's 6 fast guys starting ahead of you. Can you pass them and win this thing?
Well, you know, I think we stand a good opportunity. I'm not a good qualifier out here, and the past 2 weeks I qualified 14th the first week and run up to 3rd. Last week qualified 7th and ran up to 2nd before we got taken out. So I think we stand a good chance. You know, it's a 50-lap race, long time. Just keep the tires, the Hoosier tires, underneath us.
You're going to sneak at the back seat tomorrow maybe and go for a ride with Dad as he's driving the pace car at the 500. Congratulations to Paige Jones on the victory. By the way, Gary Lee says he won't call you Shirley anymore. We'll take a quick break and come back with more right after this.
Talk about now.
They just unplugged it because they're moving it. It'll be ready by... Uh-huh. Got it.
Check won this at 91. Who else do we have in this race that's won? This is Schissel. Mike Schissel. So the other winners were. All right, we got to correct that Buick screw up when I said it was Gertie's.
Did you? I didn't.
I said Gertie, so we got to correct that at some point. When we get to the feature, we'll talk about that being the V6 Buick.
Gary and Larry, I didn't get a chance to tell you, you guys did a great job on that open.
Thank you. Now, am I doing this or is somebody else doing this?
Yeah.
We need to congratulate Rice's kid on getting into the main event in his very first sprint car drive, too. Yep. We're back. We mentioned tomorrow morning the GP here on ESPN. Remember, too, the Porsche Super Cup from Imola, Italy, another of the GP tracks. 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Just about a lap away from the start of the second midget race. Let's go to Gary and Larry.
1 lap to go. Here's your starting lineup. Front row, Kenneth Nichols and Ted Hines. A couple of good pavement shoes. Second row on the inside, car number 15, Ronnie John Cox. Andy Michner outside. In the third row on the inside, Davey Hamilton. We ride with Davey right now. In-car Cameron, Mike Fedorchak, who won this race back in '91. Tracy Hines and Mike Hurst, the fourth row. The fifth row on the inside, Jeff Sands outside. Pavement specialist Jim Keeker. In row 6, Jeff Snelling and Mike Schissel. In the seventh row, Jeff Howerton and David Ward. And in row 8, Barry Reed, Lynn Jacobs, and rounding out the field, Mark Amenda. In row 9, we kind of rushed through it because they're already in turn 3. We're about to go green as we ride right now with car number 8, Davey Hamilton out of Boise, Idaho. Came in to run the Silver Crown cars last night. Picked up this ride for this evening's night before the 500. That's what it looks like when you're in the cockpit. You get the green flag, you go racing.
What a great shot in this car that's owned by Ed Shevchak as they head down into turn 1, and Andy Michner kind of pulls away from him by several car lengths as they come off, but he seems to get back into it coming off of 2 and catches back up.
Back up in front, Kenneth Nichols with a brand new sponsor on the Nowicki car, the number 8 car this year. Ted Hines riding in second, the black 24. You can see Michner tweak just a bit in that white number 6 through turn 4.
Yeah, that car, Ted Hines, is actually a red number 24. Cliff Jacobs had a black car for so long, he said he thought it was maybe a little bad luck, so he painted it red.
Well, we look back at the one black Hines car. That's Tracy Hines. I wasn't completely wrong.
That's right. That's his son. You just had the wrong Hines. And there's Jeff Snelling. Oh, look at the smoke coming out of that car. It looks like the Subaru's developed some sort of an oiling problem, and you can tell from the way that car is wiggling around, it's probably getting on his tires.
Getting black flag as we go to the in-car camera, and he will be headed for the pit area because Jeff just got black flag. That car was not handling at all, despite all the smoke. He had some handling problems.
Well, Jeff was a go-kart graduate. This is one of his first chances to run a midget. They've given him a chance in that car. It's a nice car. Good, just a bad luck that they've got a little oiling problem tonight.
Well, in third place is Ronnie John Cox in that 15 car. And in fourth is Michner. So those four right together coming through turn 2 down the backstretch. And then we move back to Davey Hamilton in that dark number 8.
Davey Hamilton in that Shevchak car seems to be moving up on these guys, getting in and through the corners. And look at this. Hines drops to the bottom, but he can't get around Nichols. Nichols is a master on the pavement. He knows what he's doing, and it's going to make Hines go out of the groove to get around him. Hines again drops to the bottom, can't do it coming off the corner. Michner tries a different groove, he can't make it. John Cox tries the bottom. Everybody who goes to the bottom seems to go backwards a little bit.
Kenneth Nichols out in front in that liquid wrench with Teflon sponsored midget. And there's the yellow flag is out. We see the yellow flag at the front straight. Oh, a tangle over in the corner after the yellow flag came out, and that is Tracy Hines that took the wild ride, comes to rest right side up. You can see he's okay and is a little frustrated.
Frustrated? He's really mad. He got mixed up in that thing as Nichols got out of the throttle. The car right behind him just wasn't paying attention, ran right into the back of him and caused that whole crash.
Tracy Hines out of Newcastle, Indiana, and he is just flat furious because the yellow had come out. We were looking at the yellow, and obviously your leader saw the yellow light. He backed out of it, and somebody was not watching.
Somebody didn't appear like, it appeared that's like what happened. Maybe if we got a replay, we can have a look at it. But Tracy Hines obviously thinks somebody up front made a big mistake.
All right, now here is Nichols up in front. Michner down on the low side, and Michner makes contact right there with the Nichols, spins him around. Now there is one Hines going by the high side. John Cox spins the white car, and well, he just got launched.
Nichols just he was just spinning, and Tracy tried to go around him on the outside. He just ran over a wheel, got up on the fence, and came down hard as he tore that right front corner completely off the car.
Fortunately, though, he bounced back onto the racetrack. It'd have been more severe had he gone out of the park or hit one of the light standards.
Well, that's the reason they put all that fencing and cabling up. They keep the race cars and the debris inside the racetrack.
All right, now watch, because the yellow was out before this altercation began. There is Nichols in the two-tone green and white car. Now the yellow flag, we call that. The yellow flag is out. All right, your leader's already by the yellow. The yellow light is on. They go through 1. They go into turn 2, and right here, he gets tapped from the rear. As he spins up the racetrack, right there, Tracy collects his tire, and starts the wild
It just
ride.
appears that Michener completely missed the yellow flag. He didn't see it at all. As Nichols got out of the throttle, he drove right into the back of him and spun him out, and that's what caused the whole melee.
Well, of course, we'll see how many of these cars can continue. Obviously, one is finished for the evening. Tracy, the one that took the ride, he is okay. There is your leader. We'll resume action when we return. Did not see that yellow and actually turned him around.
Right, you know, it just looked like they all started backing out of the throttle. Michener didn't. Tracy Hines was still running pretty fast when he got to the scene too, so maybe a couple of guys might have missed that yellow flag. It's hard to say. Everything happens so fast out there. It's hard to blame somebody when an accident like that happens, because I'm telling you, when you're running 105, 110 miles an hour, look at this. Trenton, New Jersey loves racing. They're here from everywhere this weekend.
Well, we have 3 past winners of this event the night before the 500. Mike Bliss has won it. Fedorchak won it back in '91. And Mel Kenyon, the 7-time USAC national champion, has won it 4 times. In fact, he was the Speedrome regional champion last year and just won 3 races in a row before he was defeated last Friday night.
Mel Kenyon is a pretty amazing race car driver, pretty amazing individual of all kinds. As we're looking here at Jack Runyon's Jack's Tool Rental Special with that V8 engine in it. But Kenyon is a great guy. He's a great competitor. And at the Speedrome, he looks as sharp as he ever did, I'll tell you.
Well, let's go back to the pit area, Dave.
I just wanted to add an observation on Mel Kenyon. I haven't been in town all month, but did I not read that Mel Kenyon won one of those Speedrome features with 3 wheels? He had to bump something, one of the wheels locked up, tire went flat. He just kind of carried the wheel around, lifting it off the ground all the way around, and won the thing. What a remarkable performance by a remarkable individual. And of course, as we await the night before the 500 finals here, our 2 feature events for the Midgets and the F2000s, we can't help but anticipate what's going to happen tomorrow over at that big racetrack, the other one on the other side of town, 2.5 mile oval, the Indy 500 coming up. We're going to get one last look at the starting lineup if we have time here before the night is out. But there has been so much speculation, so much talk about the Penske's and the Mercedes in 1994. 2 observations I'd like to offer. One is that these F2000 style cars that we're going to see later on tonight have been a proving ground for Indy talent. A couple of names you might want to keep in mind: Paul Tracy and Scott Goodyear, both graduates of those machines. But with regard to the 500 itself, I'm going to take this opportunity before the night is out to predict that Raul Boisel, who should have won the race last year, will win the race this year. That place owes him one, and I'm not among those who believe that the Mercedes is going to run away with the 500 tomorrow. Boisel in an upset is my prediction, guys. Back up top.
I don't know that it'd be such an upset because he's been consistently fast all May and agreed he should have won the race last year. It was really taken away on some very questionable penalties.
Well, you know, that might be true, but I think in reality, everybody is expecting the Mercedes to kind of run away with it. The only suspect is the tires.
Well, now we'll get started again after 4 completed laps of the 15-lapper. Ted Hines will be resuming the lead. Andy Michener 2nd, Davey Hamilton 3rd, Jeff Howerton 4th, and 5th, David Ward. Then Jim Keeker, I think we misidentified that. That's the team car to Jack Runyon. Jim Keeker driving the 71 car, Mike Schissel, Barry Reed, Mike Hurst, and Lynn Jacobs. So once again, 4 of 15 laps, 9 drivers will transfer.
Mike Schissel is a name we haven't heard of back here in the Midwest for several years. He was running midgets up in the Milwaukee area and USAC midgets in general back in the mid-70s. He moved out to Oklahoma. Hadn't heard much about him. Said he's been running 360 sprint cars out there. Decided to come back here and run the midgets a couple of times, and so far I guess he's looked pretty good.
Well, I do not see the 8 car back out there, so apparently they could not get that right front tire fixed or replaced, or perhaps there was some other suspension damage that we could not see when the car returned to the pit area.
Well, I just imagine when it got looking at it, it did have more than just a little damage.
Well, just when you get acclimated to saying Saturday Night Thunder, it's going to be Thursday Night Thunder. Hey, we're going back to Thursday. The race fans seem to enjoy that. Starting June 23rd, we're back here at Raceway Park with the USAC Sprint Cars on a Thursday. Mark your motorsports calendar.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going back to Thursdays, Gary. A lot of the racers tell us we're racing all weekend. We can't ever see it. And so I think a lot of the racers will be happy, and it'll make me happy, too, to go back to
Well, we
Thursday.
say out of the race, Hines in that 7A car, Tracy, and Snelling in the 6T car. But again, I'm still looking for that green and white number 8 of Kenneth Nichols, and I think
It's sitting down there in the pit area. They're still kind of hovering over the front end of it, but it doesn't look like they're making any attempt to push it out for this race. And if he doesn't make this race, then obviously he's going to be out for the rest of the evening.
Fedorchak is back in the 5N. He spun there. You can see the work, the Nowicki team working on that right front corner of that car. And obviously, our conjecture was accurate. They're working in the suspension area, so that car did sustain some damage.
It did take a pretty hard hit, and the left front on that car, when they pulled it in, seemed to be leaning, which indicates a bent front axle.
What's it say? High what? It says high something here on the roll.
I can't read it.
Can't quite read what he's saying there. All right, once again, it's Ted Hines now leading. Michener rides in second position. This is lap 5 of the 15-lapper.
Davey Hamilton in this chef check car's running in third position. There we get a look out the back of that car, the car behind him, and there we look out the front. Both ends. And look at Hamilton. Look at him work that wheel. Look how steady his hands are. Very, very steady where the car's in front of him.
Look at the position of the steering wheel, though. That's rather unusual for a midget setup. That's almost like a stock car position.
Oh, I don't know whether it's all that much different. The race car, you know, the way he's handling the race car right now, he's only moving that thing about a quarter of a turn. It doesn't sit down like a bus. You're right. It sits more upright, but still, he's you know, he's not moving the wheel. He's not moving it a lot. That's what I'm trying to look at.
Well, the chassis obviously working, because watch as he turns into the corner. Slight correction right there off the second corner. I like this shot.
You know, he's not working the right front very hard. He's not working the right rear very hard. The race car is obviously set up very, very well for him. Just you look at that thing. He's moving it 2 or 3 inches. Oh, we moved it about 4 or 5 inches that time, but that's still an awfully good handling race car.
Shot back up the front straightaway, showing the first 5 cars right together as Hines continues to lead. He's a pavement specialist, and now there's 8th, 9th, and 10th. Remember, only 9 transfer. That yellow car right there in the middle, the 5N car, is Mike Fedorchak out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. He won this event back in 1991. Remember, he's the guy that brought on board the Munchkin that was so popular when it debuted with a victory at the Speedrome on ESPN several years ago.
That's right. Here's Andy Michener. He's working very hard on Ted Hines right now. He's trying to get down under him, but he just can't quite make it go. Ted Hines, this Cliff Jacobs car, he's been running this car for a while, and he does a nice job in that race car, and he's going to be tough to get around.
Once again, back with Davey Hamilton, who is a second-generation driver. And look at that. There's the pass.
And just as I say that, Michener made it look very, very easy. He didn't even give him a slide job. He just drove around him and drove up in front of him going into turn 1.
I started to mention that Davey Hamilton was a second-generation driver. His dad, Ken, was famous for driving the Pink Lady sprint car out in the Boise area. Yellow flag is out. The yellow flag flies again here at Raceway Park, and we have a car spun coming off the...
It's Ronnie John Cox.
Ronnie John Cox, and where is he on the racetrack? Well, we can see him.
He's over by the big Miller.
Oh, I see. He's over there in the third turn.
Yeah, he spun, just backed it up to the fence. Nobody came close to him. It didn't look like, as he just backed it right straight up the fence. Oh, here we see him, Gary. He tries the bottom. He goes way low, starts sliding up. He had to turn the car just to keep from running into McCluskey there. And he just locked up the brakes and drove her right back up to the fence. Everybody went under the bottom side of him. So he didn't really hit anything.
So he should be able to get that car refired, join the pack at the back.
Exactly, but it'll be a long way from the back to get back in the main event.
Good shot of Michael Lang resting on the roll cage of his car right there. And there is the top 5, 9 of 15 laps complete. Still Michener out in front with Hines second, Hamilton third, Ward and Keeker. Jim Keeker in the other Jack's Tool Rental car, number 71.
We haven't said much about David Ward, but he's doing a very nice job in that 88 car. He's running in 4th position with some pretty fast race cars and keeping up pretty well.
Yeah, he's in some fast company right now. John Cox is indeed away as the safety crews return to their positions. And notice the new entrance to the pit area. There has been vast renovation here on this oval. Lex Dudas and the crew here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, they have a new pit exit. You can see off to the right of your screen where they can actually, it's a warm-up lane going out. There's a new pit entrance off of turn 4, very much like the bigger track just to the east of where we are this evening.
Yeah, here you can see the pit entrance going into turn 3, the new wall, both inside and outside wall, primarily put in here for the Busch race that they had here in August, and it's been a big help. It's safety-wise for all the race cars. There's the whole lane. It goes all the way through turns 3 and 4, all the way down the main straightaway. A lot more pit area for all the Busch cars and for these cars, too.
Makes it a lot safer pit area.
Exactly. And the new lighting is just phenomenal. The lighting is, as you can see, the poles are taller, a lot more lighting on them, and they're much, much better. We can see the cars a lot better from up here.
There's a good look at the 5 car just for a moment there. There, the yellow flag is still out. We'll have at least one more lap before we go green.
We might just say that Cliff Jacobs, who owns that 24 car that's leading, is here today. He's in a wheelchair down there in the pits working on him, but we're glad to see him back, and we want to say hello to Mike Marshall, too.
Upcoming USAC events as they come up on their 5,000th sanctioned event since 1956. June 4th, the Loctite Sprints at Paragon, the Copenhagen Skull Midgets at Claremont on June the 11th. And don't forget that there's a race tomorrow that's sanctioned by USAC. What's it called?
Yeah, she's a biggie. She's a biggie.
The 78th running of the Indy 500 tomorrow, and that's sanctioned by USAC. And we go green. Lap number 10 of this 15-lapper, and of course they had to put, because of the yellow, they put the 24 car back in front, but Michener goes right back around high.
Well, he sure did. He looked like he just did that at will. He did it 2 times, and both times looked very, very easy. I just didn't think he could do that easily, especially down in turn 1. It always seemed harder to me to get around a car going into turn 1 than it did in turn 3, but he pulled it off very, very nicely.
Somebody has to tell Davey Hamilton when he's saying hi to somebody to put it up there on the front of the roll cage, not on the side.
Look at Hamilton here again. He's got that race car working very, very nicely as he works up on the back of Ted Hines.
Well, you can also see Michener start to pull away just a bit after he made that pass. He made the pass look easy, as that time Davey took a lower line coming off turn 4.
Well, I think Davey's looking for a way. He's looking for some place just to gain a little bit extra. He's getting through the middle of the corner pretty good. He's not getting off the corner quite so good. The middle of the corner he's strong. Coming off, he's not quite so strong. So he wants to gain somewhere coming off the corner. So he's going to try a different line.
And you can see the gap now between first and second and third. We understand there may be a penalty for car number 23. That would be Jeff Howerton for jumping the restart. You would never do something like that in your racing career, would you, Rice?
Not me. Not me. Look at David Ward. David Ward's in that 88 car is doing a very, very nice job. This kid's pretty new in the midgets. He hasn't run a whole lot of midgets, and I think he's doing a terrific job keeping that race car straight. Oops, he got her a little sideways there, but he's keeping up with some of the best midget drivers in the country.
Well, back there in 5th, the red 71 is Keeker. Keeker has won races in the midgets, the sprints, and the Silver Crown cars here at Raceway Park. Back to the front of the pack. Once again, Michener in that white number 6 being trailed by the red number 24 as the white flag is displayed. 1 lap to go. And now it looks like Hines pulls back in, closes down that gap just a bit. He's going to take one last shot at him.
Tires are going to be a very important part of this 50-lap main event, and I think these guys are just kind of testing a little bit to see how good.
Look at this.
Boy, he gave him a shot. He pulled right down the inside. He couldn't quite pull it off.
They come through 4. The checkered flag flies, and Michener takes the victory. Here's the transfer spot. Barry Reed on the blue 16, and he takes the 9th position. So Reed will finish 9th, and he will transfer as we go back to the front of the pack, and Andy Michener, who is right in the throes of that championship challenge. In fact, he's in the top 5 in points, was the 3rd in the points last year in the midget division. He's out of Somerset, Michigan, running the entire USAC Copenhagen Skull Midget Series. So that will wrap up our heat races. We're coming back with 2 features, not 1, but 2. Here, pal. Okay. We're on top of it. We is on top of it. I got this that I can use. So we got Clay Collier, Saxe, Texas. He's only 19 years old, defending race winner. Won it last year. He's 8 in points. Howard Katz finished 3rd in the IMSA Camel Lights in 88 and 89, co-driving with Jim Downing. Alan May, Anthony Lazaro, Aaron Shue, TJ Dersch, I guess, David Burkett, Mike Anderson, Jarrett Schrader, Bob Lehman, Lance Norwick, Kevin West. Okay. Yeah, we're okay. Yep. This is Dersch. Oh.
Okay. Thank you.
Man, look at that 99 car. You can see that one.
Yeah, they just said they were changing it to 30 laps.
It is 30 now?
They just said that they were changing it to 30 laps.
Your way. If you go more that way.
We did confirm that. We're back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, where Andy Mishner has won the second of our midget qualifying races over Ted Hines, Davey Hamilton, David Ward, and Mike Fedorchuk. Rounding out your top 5, Kieker Schiesel and Reed Hurst and John Cox, the remainder of your top 10. We first had the opportunity to meet Andy Mishner right here in Victory Lane at Indianapolis Raceway Park. It's nice to see you back. Congratulations.
Yeah, it sure feels good to be back here. Raceway Park was kind of rough on us. It'll either hurt, you do good here or it'll bite you. And unfortunately, we did pretty good last weekend. I ended up with a tanglement with Paige, and it's just one of them things. And now another thing happened with Kenny Nichols, and I apologize. I feel bad for him, and I'm not, not that type of driver. I was just doing a slide job on Teddy Hines, and I didn't see no yellow or anything, and I just got right on his rear bumper, and he put his hand out, and I hit him. I didn't have nowhere to go, and I feel sorry, and I apologize for it. But the key parts automotive stores, they came on board with us this year, and they're really doing a super job. I hope we're doing a good job for them. The Gertie engines works pretty good too.
You've had a second and a third at Phoenix and Winchester. IRP hasn't been quite so good for you. You got some guys to pass tonight. What's the chances of getting to the front and building on that top 5 point status?
Well, the whole key thing is going to be the tire wear. It's 50 lap. They put sealers on, and it's a little bit rough on the tires. And if I can be patient, and we're starting, I think, in the 4th row. If I can be patient, just hang back, and we'll see what happens. I'll race the last 20 laps, but we'll just have to wait and see.
All right, it's a long race. Take care of yourself out there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is Andy Mishner. He has won it with a great performance here, and he'll be trying to work his way to the front in that 50-lap main event. Meanwhile, the 40-lapper for the F2000 is coming up right after this.
Live from Indianapolis Raceway Park, the USAC Copenhagen Skull Midgets are on the racetrack now as we prepare for the 49th running of the night before the 500. They are lined up, and very shortly, the next time by the front straightaway, we will go into the missing man formation in honor of a fallen comrade, Robbie Stanley, who was fatally injured in that USAC sprint car race at Winchester on Thursday evening. The top 6 in qualifying are inverted. The fastest qualifier, Dan Drynan, starts outside row 3. The second fast qualifier is Tony Stewart, but once again in USAC midget competition, the fastest 6 qualifiers are inverted. So the pace car out in front of the field, and as they come down the front stretch, we will go to the missing man formation in honor of 3-time USAC sprint car champion Robbie Stanley.
Always hate to see, Gary, that missing formation like that, but it's nobody that's pulled up beside Kenny or when they're leaving that spot open in honor of Robbie Stanley.
Our sympathy, our condolences to his parents, Rita and Ron, and his brother Ryan, and his girlfriend Michelle. He had actually moved his racing operation to North Carolina to pursue his stock car career. Could not put the sponsorship together for a stock car that they had purchased, and came back here to run the Hoffman Sprinter for the Sprint Championship, and was actually leading the point standings when he was fatally injured on Thursday evening on the treacherous high banks of Winchester. Well, that is Don Schilling, who was also severely injured at Winchester a couple of years back and retired from racing only to come back. And he'll be starting on the pole. He moves back up alongside Kenny Irwin. That's the front row, Schilling and Irwin. In row 2, Jimmy Sills, Brian Gerster, who won here 1 week ago. In row 3, the 2 fastest qualifiers, Tony Stewart and Dan Drynan. The 4th row, Paige Jones and Andy Michner. In row 5, Mike Bliss, Ted Hines. In the 6th row, on the inside, Randy Tolsma, outside David Ward. Row 7, Steve Barth and Mike Fedorchak, who won this race in '91. Chuck Leary and Jim Keeker in row 8. Row 9, Jim Mahoney and Mike Schissel. In the 10th row, on the inside, Perry Younts, outside Barry Reed. In the 11th row, Jim Beckley and Mike Hurst. And then it's Jack Runyon and Ronnie John Cox. The $4,000 Wins Challenge money tonight will go to Paige Jones if he can win this thing. If Paige Jones can win it, an extra $4,000 from Wins for the Wins Challenge. 50 laps, the 1994 night before the 500 gets a green flag. We are underway. The first 6 qualifiers, the fastest 6 inverted. And Irwin grabs the lead coming through turn 2 down the backstretch. Kenny Irwin, who was second in USAC National Points 1 year ago. Schilling rides in second. And look at that move on the inside by Sills in 9. That is one of 3 white 9 cars out here this evening, owned by Steve Lewis out of California.
Yeah, they're all running right together there on the racetrack right now. Tony Stewart and that 6 car already up to 3rd position. He started 5th. He's already up into 3rd. But Kenny Irwin has moved out into a very nice lead. Oh, look at Stewart there. He got a little bit, tried to get underneath, but didn't have enough room on the bottom under Schilling.
That is Gerster in the yellow and blue, number 21. Brian Gerster won his first ever midget feature 1 week ago here at Raceway Park, and there's the pass for second. Tony Stewart out of Indianapolis, formerly from Rushville, leads the point standings, both the national points and the Western States points. And that is Paige Jones. There is Paige. Now Paige is in one of 2 cars powered by the Gertie this evening, but it's Mike Bliss that has that new Buick V6.
The Buick V6, which is identical to the IndyCar engine without the turbocharger. That engine is a pretty new on the scene and already making a lot of horsepower, and a lot of people are optimistic about what
could be the future engine for this midget division.
Here's a new development in the midgets, though. That 6-cylinder Potter engine that Tony Stewart has in there running up in 2nd position now, that engine is going to go into mass production, and Earl Gertie is going to build it. Now, if you don't think Earl Gertie can get some more horsepower out of the thing and build a nice engine, it's going to be a battle of the 6 cylinders.
In the interview with Paige Jones earlier, he told Dave Despain, I've not qualified all that well in recent weeks, but I'm able to move up, and he's moving up right now. Paige Jones, he does not know, I don't think, that he has an extra $4,000 if he can win that thing.
I tell you one thing about this part of the race. Everybody has to be very, very careful to save their tires. Every 30-lap race that they've run here, they've run 2 or 3 already this year, the 8 Hoosier tire, which is the hardest compound they make, has blistered. Now, if they get to abusing the tire, if they get to running down on the bottom of the racetrack and abuse that tire early, it's going to be very difficult to have a strong finish with a blistered right rear tire.
Well, the black 3 in that white 9 sandwich is Danny Twinan. He was the fast qualifier. Because of the inverted start, he started outside the 3rd row in 6th position.
And I think he's biding his time right now. He's not using that usual Danny Drynan charge to the front style, and I think he's doing that because he wants to save that right rear. He doesn't want to abuse it. He doesn't want to run down on the inside. He wants to make sure the last 20 laps are as fast as the first 20 laps. But look at those guys out front. Look at the lead the 2 front cars have pulled out.
We talked earlier about Davey Hamilton out of Boise, Idaho, giving us some great shots with the onboard camera. He burned a piston in that car, so he's a spectator this race.
And the chef, he can't look at this pass. Look at
yellow
Stewart.
Flag, yellow
flag. On the inside. Oh, we got a car upside down. It's Leary. Leary upside down.
Chuck Leary and the Leary Brothers Construction Comet Kart Sales entry, car number 30 out of Greenfield, Indiana. He was the Rookie of the Year last year, and he brings out the red flag as he gets upside down over entering turn 3. And there is a look at Kenny Irwin Sr.
Father's very anxious to see what happened down there and make sure his son was okay. The red flag is out, so they're going to go out there and look at the race cars, see if they need to make some adjustments. We've got at least 4 cars stopped up there in turn 3. There's at least 4 of them stopped on the racetrack up there. Larry was the only one I saw get upside down. I see 5 up there now, so there's several cars stopped. But look at Kenny Irwin Sr. Jumps right in there, trying to find out, asking, what can I do to make it better? What do you want to change? Looks like Kenny Jr. saying, seems pretty good to me. I'm beating him.
Well, we can see Mike Hurst is up there in the 91 car. That's the black and red.
The green one is Perry Younce.
Perry Younce, the
bluish
51
green
car.
Number 51 car. So that's two of the cars up against the fence back there. Mike Hurst.
Well, look at the roll cage on Younce's car.
He definitely got upside down, too.
They're talking. That's Hurst in the red driving suit. Younce in the black car, but it looked like Younce certainly got upside down. All right, here's the replay.
There he got on the bottom, got a little bit sideways, headed a right straight back up towards the fence, and caught the fence with the right rear. He got the front end in. Once that front end digs in, it's pretty hard to keep it on all four. He got up on the fence, did a little pirouette on the roll cage. That thing bounces pretty hard on the roll cage the next time down, comes back down the racetrack, sliding along, and just tips right on over back on its wheels.
Well, we also see the Barry Reed car, the blue 16. Now we go back to your leader, and that is a good look at the Dave Calderwood-owned car. Dave is out of Bakersfield, California, but now he is fielding midgets and sprint cars and the Silver Crown car that he drove last night. He's fielding all the divisional cars for Kenny Irwin.
He's got a lot of race cars. I don't know how he keeps track of all of them. He's got them everywhere. He's got them in the Midwest, in the West Coast. And he even had a couple in Australia last winter, so I don't know how.
Now, what are they doing here, Larry?
He's making a weight adjustment. See, that's the spring, the right front spring. He looks like he's going to put a little weight. Watch this, which way he turns it. If he turns it up, he's putting weight in. If he turns it down, he's taking weight out. He turned it up. He turned that right front spring. He turned that little wing nut on there. He turned it up a little bit. Looks like he's going to do the same on the other side. What he's going to do is raise the whole front end of the race car. He's going to turn them both. He's only, look at that, he's only turning that thing up about a half a turn. These things are really close. He thinks it's really close. But he moved the front spring up. He moved the whole car up in the front end, meaning he's going to try to get the front end up in the air, make it push just a little bit more. Yeah, they can work on these race cars anytime under the yellow flag. They're not allowed to add oil. They're not allowed to add fuel unless they get out of the race car. But they can work on the race cars.
They can make adjustments under red, and we are under red because we saw that the one car, the number 30 car of Chuck Leary, did get upside down, but by the looks of the roll cage of Perry Younce, it looked like he clouded something pretty hard upside down.
Yeah, I think he did too. It looked, that all action all happening back as somebody was trying to miss Leary in the first place. Somebody else got sideways, somebody ran over him. It's all a chain reaction. At that point, when you're trying to miss somebody who's crashing up in front of you, a lot of things happen in chain reaction. You just can't get away from.
Well, it looked like your leader was going behind the pit wall. In fact, he is behind the pit wall right now. So they're going to change maybe a right rear tire, but they did move the car behind the pit wall for that. So that apparently that kind of work has to be done behind the pit wall.
Well, it probably does. When you change a tire, it's something that has to be done when you have to jack the car up. You do have to move it behind the pit wall in case they want to restart the race. They don't want to have to wait on you.
Well, we have 7 laps down. We remain under red here at Indianapolis Raceway Park during the 49th running of the Miller Genuine Draft night before the 500. We'll get things sorted out and come back with more USAC Midget Racing.
Sorry. Yes, the ruling is that he cannot work on the race car on the racing surface. He can only work on it behind the pit wall. And the ruling is that he did not work on it in front of the pit wall. You did not see what you just saw. He was not observed working on the pit. He was caressing it.
He was
polishing the shocks.
That's right.
So what you saw did not happen because the officials did not see it, and therefore they got away with it.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm not sure about the injury. Is on a more serious. Is that what happened behind me? Somebody got.
The guy was hit by one of the midgets as he was crossing over.
So Dave gets hit by the ambulance.
Did we see it? I know. Did we see that happen? Okay. Do you want me to do the? Okay.
Somebody did get hit?
We're back live at Indianapolis Raceway Park, and you did not see what you thought you saw just before that commercial. There was no work done on Kenny Irwin's car. Let me elaborate. The rule says that you cannot work on the car on this side of the pit wall, which clearly did take place. However, Nobody saw it happen. Nobody except the millions of you who are tuned in on Saturday Night Thunder. That is to say, the USAC officials did not see it happen. They told Kenny to take the car behind the wall, where I presume they will redo the modifications to the front suspension and thereby be fully legal. Bottom line, no penalty for Kenny Irwin Jr. A bit of a scary moment, I think, for Kenny Irwin Sr. So he'll start where he was at the time of the red flag, which is at the front of the field. The cars are being formed up all around us here for the restart, and we should be ready to get back underway momentarily. Back to Gary and Larry.
Well, you know, looking at this Perrions car again, it looks like the cage is okay now, but from the angle that we were looking earlier, it looked like the cage was damaged.
Well, it was a long shot. What probably happened is he had a flat tire. The thing was sitting at a funny angle and way up there in the corner, and it just looked like the cage was damaged. But as you say, I don't think he did get upside down. Second look at the race car, it doesn't look like anything like that happened. I think what happened was everybody climbed out of the throttle, climbed on the brakes, trying to miss Chuck Leary. As you can see, that thing flopped down as he puts it down there. All the wheels just kind of banged together there.
In case you've just joined us, this is why we're under the red flag condition. Chuck Leary out of Greenfield, Indiana, last year's Rookie of the Year in the Midget Division. Takes a pretty wild ride down there in turn 3, but he is okay.
He hit the fence with the right rear, jumped up on its head with, as the front end went into the fence, and skidded down the racetrack.
Other action this evening, a doubleheader with the night before the 500 with the 2000 cars, the rear engine Formula Fords of USAC, and Anthony Lazzaro in a very gutsy pass in traffic was able to hold off Clay Collier for the victory. And there we see your leader is underway. The new starters on board allow them to start them up and drive them out of the pit area. And we only have 7 laps complete. This is a 50 lap. The annual night before the 500, there is Kenny Irwin, who was second in the point standings, the seasonal point standings last year, a runner-up to Stevie Reeves, who won his second straight USAC Midget Championship. Here's a look at Don Schilling. Interesting story about Don. He was injured at Winchester a couple of seasons ago, called it quits, but then he saw Doug Coletta, his buddy that works with him at Coletta Flying Service up in Michigan, having so much fun. He said, hey, I think I'm going to come back on this.
Don Schilling, he does love the sport. He loves it a lot. He stayed out for 2 or 3 years. He said, I just couldn't stand it anymore. He said, I'm around these race cars all the time. I'm watching these guys have all this fun. He said, I just had to get back in and have some of the fun. And he is having a ball, I think.
Well, don't forget, as we take a look at Michael Schumacher starting on the pole with Damon Hill alongside, that we'll have that race for you from Barcelona, Spain, the Spanish Grand Prix tomorrow at 7:50 Eastern Time here on ESPN. There's the top 5 in qualifying, and there's the time you can pick up all the action. What a great weekend for motorsports, either live or on television.
It doesn't get much better than this. I mean, you got racing all night tonight. You got it first thing in the morning, and you've got, of course, the Indianapolis 500. And don't forget, our buddy Jeff Gordon on the pole for the Coca-Cola race down in
World 600 at Charlotte. And, of course, that Andretti kid, John Andretti, a graduate of Midgets and sprint cars, running both the Indy 500 and the 600.
He starts 9th, and our other open wheel guy, Kenny Schrader, he's starting in 3rd position. So 3 out of the top 9 down there are old open wheel Saturday Night Thunder vets.
Well, and Terry Labonte, of course, began in quarter midgets, so he's an old open wheeler as a youngster.
Yeah.
Well, there's a look at Dan Dwynan, our fast qualifier. And you alluded earlier to perhaps a change of strategy with Danny Dwynan. We have always seen Danny be very, very aggressive. But tonight he may be laying back just a bit. There is one of 3. That is Jimmy Sills. Now, that is the other Gertie. We've got 2 Gertie-powered piece chassis, and we've got 1 powered by that new Buick V6. Here's your top 10 after 7 laps. Irwin, Stewart, Jones, Schilling, and Brian Gerster. Gerster victorious last weekend here at Raceway Park. Then it's Jimmy Sills, Ted Hines, Michener, Tolsma, and Barth. The top 10, 7 laps, and which... well, this is totally confusing. What's he taping up there on that car?
I have no idea.
Too many white number 9s this evening.
They're taping up the bodywork. It looks like the side panel, the arm panel that's supposed to keep the dirt and everything out.
Rock guard.
Yeah, the rock guard. This looks like it's come loose. It looks like the Zeus buttons weren't holding it in there. I saw that thing off earlier, and it just looks like the Zeus buttons came loose, so they're taping it on.
Well, that's Jimmy Sills out of Placerville, California. Jimmy won the USAC True Value Silver Crown race last night at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. That was just an incredible race. If you folks are watching this evening and are from the Indy area and didn't see that race in person, I'd say the first 5 or 6 ran nose to tail throughout the entire program. A good, clean, competitive race.
It certainly was. That was one of the nicest dirt car races I've seen for a long time. And speaking of winners, how about our buddy Benny? Phil Parsons was the winner today in the BGN race at Charlotte in the Champion Spark Plug 300. Congratulations, Benny and Phil.
Well, Benny taught him how to drive.
Of course he did.
That's what Benny will tell you.
He'll say that. He'll swear to it.
All right, there's Paige Jones in the F9, or is that 9F? That's another beast chassis with the Gertie power plant, but it's Bliss in the 3rd white 9 that has the V6 Buick. Okay, here are the results of the USAC Silver Crown race last night. Sills, Schumann, Snyder, Irwin, and Tolsma, and those guys did indeed run nose to tail throughout basically the last 70 laps of that race. And you look at the point standings, George Snyder, who won the series title back in 1971, is tied with Kenny Irwin. Sills only 20 markers back, then it's Ron Schumann and Randy Tolsma. Again, Tolsma has moved. He and his wife Tiffany, in fact, Tiffany works for Raceway Park now. They moved from Meridian, Idaho back here to Indianapolis. He said, you know, that is one long commute from Idaho.
If you look at that top 5 last night, the West Coast and the Pacific Northwest have really taken a strong hold back here with Sills and Tolsma. And here's Danny Drynan back into the pit area. Let's see if he's got a problem.
A car of his own design, and he is always fast, and the crew runs over.
I don't know what they're doing.
Can't really tell what they're looking
Looks like
at.
they're looking in there. Maybe there's an oil leak. That's in the engine area, so it must be something with the engine they're looking at. I don't know whether it's an oil leak. Maybe they've got a fouled spark plug. Maybe that's what it is. Look, he's taking a spark plug out. They've got a fouled plug. That's exactly the left on the right side of the car. He's pulling out a spark plug. It looks like he's going to put another one back in.
Well, he's going to have to hurry because I think they got the furl fly one lap before we go green, and we'll start the race on lap 8. This is a 50-lapper.
There's 1 lap to go, so they're going to start this time. He's going to have to hurry. He's not going to get back in there.
I can't send you out.
Looks like get back in, but he'll be a lap.
Oh, they're changing all 4 plugs, it looks like.
Well, he's going to be way off the mark this time because we are going green, and the race resumes. As Stewart had a look to the inside on the restart, Paige Jones runs in 3rd. 4th is Schilling. Out in front is Kenny Irwin. Now, you saw the adjustment they made to Irwin's car.
Well, let's just see if he did any good, see if he's going to pull away. Stewart was catching him. Stewart was right on his back bumper as they came to that yellow flag. And it looks like Paige Jones is awfully strong right now. He might be the strongest car out there. He was a ways behind him. I don't know if he was running as fast as they were, but he didn't get as good a start. He was a long way back.
Well, here is 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Gerster in the yellow car, tucked in behind Schilling, and there goes one of the white 9s. I'm not even sure which one it is at this point.
I can't tell either. They're both right there together. We know it's not Paige Jones. That's about all we can tell you. Look at Stewart. He tries to get him.
Pass for the lead. Larry Rice, he makes it work. Slide job. Oop, little bump. Hey, I saw that. And here comes Paige.
Hey, that was a case where Irwin had to get out of the throttle and turn right to keep him getting hit by Stewart. Stewart didn't give him any room whatsoever, and he opted to get out of the throttle, give him a little room, and hope that later on he can repay the favor.
Paige continues to ride in 3rd position all over the rear bumper of Kenny Irwin.
And it appears that whatever Kenny Irwin did, either he didn't do enough or he went the wrong way, because Tony Stewart is a little bit faster now, and it appears that Paige Jones is a little bit faster right now, too.
It could be a situation where Irwin is actually holding up Paige Jones, and once Paige can get by Irwin, he can set sail for Tony Stewart. What a season Tony Stewart is having, leading both the national points and the Western States points. We saw him win out at Ventura here on ESPN back in April.
Paige Jones right now just content to follow Kenny Irwin. He can't quite muster enough power to get around him, and he's going to try him now, getting into 1. I'm really surprised how many passes we've seen down in turn 1. Traditionally at this racetrack, the place to pass has been going into turn 3. Tonight, there have been a lot more passes down into turn 1.
Well, here's turn 3, and he's going to make the pass this time. Is he going to let it stick? They almost bang wheels. Look at the dirt tracking. Look at him smoke the right rear. Everybody up on their feet as they saw the tire smoke off the right rear of Paige Jones.
Well, that might cost them in the end. You get the car loose like that, you get the right rear burning like that. After 40 laps, 50 laps, it could be a blistered right rear tire, and that's one thing you just can't afford to do, is blister the right rear tire.
Dave Despain in the pit area with Danny Drynan.
Danny Drynan, what went wrong? What went wrong?
His car just started misfiring, must have lost a magneto.
Any idea from your view, from what you saw in the few laps we ran, who's going to win this thing?
Probably Tony Stewart. If he doesn't burn the tires off.
Frustrating, eh?
Yeah.
Danny Drynan, broken magneto, fast qualifier, done for tonight.
Well, a good observation. I would have to go, too, with Tony Stewart if he doesn't burn that right rear off, because he's running away to hide right now.
Yeah, I could have probably picked him at this point of the race, too. Because
oh, that was a cheap shot, Rice.
No, but he's doing a nice job. And as we said, that V6, the Potter V6 that Potter's worked on so long and hard, tried to put it into production, didn't want to do it himself. He has got Earl Gertie. Gertie is going to put that piece into production. They're going to work on it, develop it together, and put it out there. They figure that Buick V6 is coming after him pretty hard, so Earl wants to go out and make his own.
Well, Irwin's running a V6 too, only he's the Buick V6. So we see a Chevy V6 out in front, a Buick V6 running in second, and a Gertie running in third. And look at this. We can have a pass for second place. And back here, well, indeed, Page did go around. So the Beast Gertie now up to second. We've got a Beast with a Buick V6 running in third. And then two more Steve Lewis Performance Racing entries running fourth and fifth.
Yeah, Paige Jones did a nice job. As we look back at the two cars running in fourth and fifth, both look identical, 9 and L9.
Well, L is Bliss. Now, Bliss has the other Buick V6. That's Bliss in the 9L car. The other 9 car is Jimmy Sills.
So it's Sills in front of Bliss and those two identical number 9s battling each other.
Now you got me confused. Yeah, you're right.
And that's Ted Hines in that number 24 car, the red number 24, that's battling both of them.
Yellow may be coming out because Jack Runyon has stopped just past the start-finish line. Indeed, the yellow does come out. Jack coasts to a stop. And of course, here's a situation where if you have an engine problem, the car slows down. There is no pit entrance where the pit entrance was last year. The pit entrance now is coming off of turn 3. So Jack had no recourse but just to coast to a stop down the front straightaway.
Yeah, and evidently he couldn't get it out of gear either, because as he pulled up there, the thing kind of chugged to a stop. And usually with that clutch in there, you can pull the clutch out or take it out of gear and just float on down to the corner.
19 laps now complete of a 50-lapper as the
our apologies to Paige. That was Paige Jones we showed there, not Jack Runyon, but this is Jack. Now he's got it out of gear. He's got the clutch engaged. They're going to try to push it down into the pit area. For some reason, he doesn't seem to want him to push it. He seems to want to be pushed back off, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to make him go into the pit area and get out of the way.
Here is the pass for second place. Kenny Irwin in the 4K car, and Paige Jones makes a nice move on the inside.
Boy, he squeezed him a little bit. He came close.
Well, he moves up to second. We've completed 19 laps. This is a 50-lapper from Indianapolis Raceway Park, and we're coming right back. Stay with us.
Not bad.
And he may end up second, third, and fourth.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, these guys, the way they're changing engines, let's hope this is right. That Irwin has, I mean, that's what we're going by.
No, it is. You can see it. See, that's the V6. Look, the third one's, right. Bliss has got the V6.
No, I'm talking about Irwin now.
Oh, Irwin. I didn't see his.
It looked like a 4-banger to me when he went by.
Yeah, I'll try to look. You call the first of the race when they go past here, and I'll look.
Because I'm going by this here. I'm going by the entry. If the entry's wrong, and watch when they go by and see if that Irwin car is.
I will. You watch.
What's this?
Oh, Runyon is. You call it. I'll watch.
Racing has just resumed in the annual night before the 500 from Indianapolis Raceway Park. Oh, a car into the wall. They had just completed one lap under green, and that is one of the Steve Lewis Performance Racing entries, and that would be Mike Bliss.
That was Mike Bliss, and it was Kenny Irwin who came up there. He lost power, I think, in his car, pulled down to the inside, and everybody was trying to avoid him. And that's what caused that Mike Bliss to get sideways and down into the grass, down into the sand, actually, down in the infield.
Well, it looks like Kenny Irwin's car has stopped on the inside of turn 1, so Mike Bliss walks away. As we look again, they come down the front straightaway.
Watch Kenny Irwin's car, slows up drastically. Everybody went to one side and then the other. Bliss went to the outside, hit the fence, got on the brakes. He was out of control. Yeah, you know, Kenny Irwin, that V6 of his just gave up on him. It quit on him right in the middle of the straightaway, and everybody scattered to both sides trying to miss him. Everybody did miss him, but unfortunately Mike Bliss caught the wall in trying to avoid him.
Mike Bliss came very close to catching Jack Runyon's car sitting down there too. That's not a very safe place to keep that race car.
Well, I think Jack Runyon was a little upset. He thought he ought to be allowed to go back out there, and so he just parked his... We're looking... Look at his hand. He's in the air. His hand's in the air.
Irwin's car is there slowing down. He is waving. I'm having trouble.
He's trying to get everybody, warn everybody, and I think right behind him, the first car saw him and tried to avoid him. But the second and third cars back didn't see him in time.
Mike Bliss, we just saw the videotape that you may or may not have had an opportunity to see of Kenny waving to try to warn you, but you did or didn't see it?
I didn't see it. I seen Jimmy was in front of me, so I didn't see it. And then last minute, I saw Jimmy pull down, and all I had to do was go on the wall or hit Kenny, make a real mess.
Anybody do anything with that guy up front, do you think?
I don't know. Paige is running pretty hard, but I hope he's not running too hard. We were doing real well. I was just holding back 50 laps. It's a long time. We had a good car tonight.
We'll see a bunch on Thursday Night Thunder, okay?
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks.
Okay, let's me spin right around here because I think I can find Kenny Irwin. Kenny, what happened?
I think the motor let go going down the front straightaway. Sorry for Bliss. I tried to get my hand up and move out of the way, not do anything quick, but evidently it didn't work.
Yeah, he was busy, he said, and didn't see it, caught the wall and couldn't get out of the way. Same question to you. I asked him, can anybody do anything with Tony tonight, or is he gone?
No, I think he's pretty much checked out. Paige is running pretty good, but you know, I think Potter's got a good motor and he's and they got a good car, so you know, I think he is going to be tough tonight.
Just off the record, did those adjustments that you didn't make out there help you at all before the motor let go?
No, I don't think that helped out a lot.
Okay, sorry to see you out of it.
Thank you.
Kenny Irwin Jr. had a shot at it here tonight. That shot is gone with a blown motor. Back up top.
We are going back to racing. A whole lot more racing to go, but I tell you what, there's the battle right there for the lead, and Paige Jones really working on Tony Stewart. He may be working too hard too early in this event.
There are two young, brave race car drivers. I don't think you can outbrave either one of those guys. Paige Jones tried to make him get out of the throttle or move over. Tony Stewart did neither, so Paige Jones had to turn that thing to the left a little harder and float back up and behind him.
21 laps now complete. Jimmy Sills rides back in third, so the Steve Lewis Performance Racing team running second and third right now. But keep in mind, let us remind you, if you've just tuned in, that the $4,000 rollover in wins bonus money would go to Paige Jones if he can win this race this evening.
That's right. Paige Jones has a lot of money at stake here if he can get back in front. But you'll notice, after that try on the inside, after he got that tire hot, he's all of a sudden fallen back to 4 or 5 car lengths behind Tony Stewart. I think the tire wear is going to be very, very, very important. Look at this. Ted Hines down to the inside. He can't quite get around Stewart, though.
Well, that's Jimmy Sills. Jimmy Sills running the other white 9 car, and that red number 24 is Ted Hines out of Newcastle, Indiana. Jimmy Sills out of Placerville, California, former Silver Crown champion who won the Silver Crown race last night at the Indiana State Fairgrounds, and now he makes the pass look easy.
Boy, that did look easy. He drove right down on the inside of him, drove it right up in front of him. He didn't even come close to making Jimmy Sills get out of the throttle. He did a very nice job, and when you do a pass like that, the main thing you do is you don't burn up the tires. You drive the race car straight, drive it right back up in front of him, and you don't use up the tires. That was a nice move by Ted Hines.
Well, look at the gap there between first and second. And what an aggressive program that Tony Stewart has this year. He told us on television last month in Ventura, hey, I'm going after both the Western States and the national points. That's never been done before.
Well, it's never been even tried before that I know of, and he's pretty aggressive just for thinking about doing it. As we look, Blitzner and Gerster here,
Gerster in that yellow number 21 car trying to get into the white number 6 car of Andy Michener. Couldn't quite do it. Again, trying to keep the race car straight. The black car in behind him is Don Schilling. He's fallen back to, that's probably about 5th or 6th spot right now.
And then it's Randy Tolsma. You have to like Brian Gerster. He was the Rookie of the Year about 3 years ago, and every year he upgrades his equipment. And last week he got his very first USAC victory, and I was not here to see it, but I guess he was really smooth.
He is a neat young man. This young man, just like you said, he came out, ran the speedrome, ran some of the short tracks, learned very, very well. Last year went out and bought the very best equipment they could buy, and he's done an excellent job with that race car, and I'm very happy to see him win a race.
Got beast with the Gertie power plant, and he was very smooth. Still comes to the race with an old open trailer. Most of these guys are hauling in these big enclosed expensive trailers. Brian says, hey, I can spend the money on the race car. I want to go faster.
Again, it's a family operation. They do everything with their own bucks, and that open trailer is a lot more economical than that big enclosed trailer. Ooh, look at this. He tries again on the inside.
Can't make it stick down there, though.
Can't quite squeeze it out. Again, I think he's trying to keep the race car straight, and I think that's smart. Right now, still a long way to go. We're only at 30 laps in this race, and you don't want to burn the tires up. Still 20 laps to go.
Yeah, as we heard earlier, this is a very long race, and right now you have to use some self-discipline because you really can't abuse the race car too much too early. Don't abuse that right rear tire.
This is a battle for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th spot. Andy Michener in the white number 6, Brian Gerster trying to get him, get around him, and of course Don Schilling in the black car working on both of them pretty hard.
Well, we've seen Schilling win before. We've seen Randy Tolsma win here at Raceway Park. Remember that great battle he had with Mike Bliss? They were exchanging the lead 3-4 times a lap.
One of the absolute best races we've ever seen here on the ESPN, where those guys battle each other for about 4 or 5 laps, 2 passes in every corner, and finally, I can't even tell you which one of them won. I was so excited.
Tolsma won it. They continue the battle nose to tail down the backstretch as the laps begin to wind down, but still a lot of competition to go. 32 laps now complete.
Look at Gerster. Gerster's trying everything he can without getting the race car real sideways. I think he's, it's about 17 laps to go. It's about time to start leaning on that right rear a little bit. Unless you've already used it up, you might as well go for it. You're getting close to the end. He's running back in about 6 spots, so he's not going to gain anything by following him around. He's going to have to take a little bit of a chance, run down on the inside of him, and maybe use that right rear a little bit.
Confidence can go a long way in a career, and you know that that win last week had to be a real boost to the confidence for young Brian Gerster, because several veterans took shots at him and simply could not get around him.
Oh, they worked him over very hard, and he hung right in there. He didn't get intimidated. He didn't give him an inch, and it won the race for him. And I think the young man's got a great future, and I'm very happy for him.
Once again, that's Andy Michener out of Somerset, Michigan, in that lead pack right there in the white 6 car. Then Gerster, and then it's Don Schilling, also out of Michigan. And then back to Randy Tolsma in the white 61 car. As we take a good look at Don Schilling right there. He's a pilot, works for Coletta Flying Service.
Yeah, these guys battled pretty hard. But meanwhile, back up in the front of the pack, Tony Stewart is leading the race, but the guy who's chasing him down is Ted Hines, that red number 24. Remember we talked about Ted Hines? He followed him around there. He kept the race car very straight. Well, guess what? He's gotten around Paige Jones, and he's gaining ever so slowly on Tony Stewart at this point of the race. It's going to be interesting to see if he can reel him in, see if he's saved his tires more than maybe Ted Hines.
You talked earlier about Paige Jones smoking the right rear and abusing that right rear tire. Well, now he's dropped off. He's still in 3rd place, but he's about a straightaway behind this red number 24. And indeed, Hines beginning to close in. You know, you talk about a great racing family. Jim Hines ran midgets for so many years in sprint cars, had the kids in quarter midgets, and now at some point, all 3, Tracy, his brother Ted, and their dad Jim, all race at the same time.
Sometimes they do race against each other. It's got to be a little expensive, a little tiring. But look at Ted Hines. He is really pulling in Tony Stewart. Remember Tony Stewart? He made a couple of very quick sideways moves when he got around those cars very early in the piece. He may be paying the price right now for running sideways and passing those cars so early, because it certainly looks like Ted Hines is really gaining on him fast.
Well, Ted's a driver that cut his teeth on the short tracks. Look at that easy pass.
He didn't even have to work out.
He won 3 straight.
He's got that race, he's got that tire, he's got so much better right rear tire right now that it wasn't even an effort to go around Tony Stewart. I think almost everybody else on the racetrack has blistered a right rear tire. Right now, that's what's enabled Ted Hines just to pull up there and go around Tony Stewart. No effort at all.
Well, of course, we started to see that Ted is a 3-time USAC Speedrome champion on the short track. Moved up. We saw him take a wild ride at Winchester and Raleigh Helmling's Midget, one of the first times out on a big fast track, but he has really come a long way in running the faster racetracks.
Well, I mean, he got a bad rap there for a while, not being able to run the big racetracks because he was such a champion at the small racetracks. But he could always run the big racetracks. He just needed a break. He needed a good race car to go out and prove that in.
There's a look at Schilling, and now he is being pursued by Tolsma, and that is Mahoney. Jim Mahoney in that red #1 car. Mahoney becoming a regular now on the USAC Midget Series since Johnny Vance bought that race car for him. He also drives for Johnny on the USAC Sprint Car Division.
All right, that's position 7, 8, and 9 back there. These guys battling. Schilling in the black car, Tolsma in the white car, and Mahoney in the red car. All three of them following Brian Gerster through the pack, and Gerster still working on Andy Mishner and just doesn't seem to be able to get around him. All 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, all these guys running very, very close, very, very hard. But I think just about everybody in that pack seems to have a right rear tire going away. Look at the right rears. Look at all these guys. They look like they're loose. The back end's wiggling around. That means that they're losing the right rear tire.
5 laps to go.
That's our leader in traffic. We're going to see. Oh boy, he gets close there. That's Steve Barthy's next to.
Well, of course, this could be a very emotional victory here this evening, not only for the man driving that car, but for Cliff Jacobs in the pit area.
I don't think anybody in the whole world, except maybe Mike Marshall, who's sitting home watching this, would be happier than Cliff Jacobs. If he won this race, he's had a lot of bad luck over the last few years. He certainly do. He changed the color, he changed the number. He said, maybe it'll bring me luck. It looks like it's on its way tonight.
As we look back in traffic, there is Gerster. He's gotten around Michener, and then it's Tolsma in the white 61 car, and then the black #12 as Tolsma has gotten around Don Schilling, and the red #1 is Jim Mahoney.
Yeah, these guys have done battle all night long, and finally Gerster did get around. That moves him up into the 5th position, and he's going hard. Of course, Cliff Jacobs, who's the owner of that 24 car that's leading this race, was injured at the Hoosier Dome. We showed a picture of him earlier sitting down on his four-wheeler. He's in a wheelchair here tonight, but he says he's getting around a lot better. He's real happy to be back to the racetrack.
Now, he broke both legs in that terrible accident at the Hoosier Dome last winter, and there was some concern he might miss the entire racing season, but he is here tonight. His car is leading as we look back in traffic right now with only a couple of laps remaining. There's the white flag. Here comes your leader.
Look at the lead he's pulled out to. A tremendous lead over second spot. He's over a whole straightaway ahead of second place car right now. And I think basically it's because he babied his tire. He kept that thing in as fresh as he could. And in the last 20 laps, he was definitely the fastest car on the racetrack.
Well, this has been an impressive run for Ted Hines as he starts in the 8th position, takes the victory, the biggest career win for him despite his 3 Speedrome championships. This is a big one, and you know it's going to be emotional for Cliff Jacobs, the team, and of course the Hines family. So we're going to take a very quick commercial break right now as the rest of the field runs under the checkered flag. So once again, the victory goes to Ted Hines. We'll take a quick break and come back to Indianapolis Raceway Park, and there's a good look at Ted.
Was Stewart 5th? Was Stewart 5th then?
Is this yours? Is that your pin? Is that your pin?
Okay. Yep.
Really?
That one handled. Good job on that 2000. There's your shirt.
Speed World coverage of Saturday Night Thunder has been brought to you by Prescription Strength Lotrimin AF for Athlete's Foot. It's the killer cure. In-car camera tonight provided by the good folks at CarQuest Auto Parts. For your nearest CarQuest Auto Parts store, dial 1-800-492-PART. Hey, our thanks to the folks at Bristol for giving us an extra 90 seconds to congratulate Ted Hines on what Larry Rice figures must be the biggest win of your career. Is this the biggest win of your career?
Yeah, it's a great win. I just got to dedicate it to my whole crew. We got one of our guys, Mal. He was hurt at the Hoosier Dome. This is for him. Just everything for Robbie Stanley and his family. They were great people. He's going to be well missed, and we want you to hurry up and get back, Mal, so you can be in victory circle with us. And this is a great win. The car was working great. We just kind of had to catch up on them there, and it just worked great.
Can we see Cliff Jacobs smiling there in the background? Congratulations, Cliff. Great job. Smart drive, too. You saved the tires, and that was the key, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, this car, I don't even have to hardly save the tires. This car works so good. It was so easy on tires. We knew we get a race where we get started up close to the front, and we get a lot of laps without tire them and outdrive them.
Great job, man. We got to go. Here's your finish order. Ted Hines wins it over Paige Jones, Jimmy Sills, Brian Gerster, Andy Michener, as we wrap up an exciting evening here of Saturday Night Thunder. Remember, the Formula One race coming your way bright and early tomorrow morning. Speed Week on Monday. One big Memorial Day Classic that remains on Monday. The IMSA cars from Lime Rock. Special thanks to Gary and Larry for a great job up top. I'm Dave Despade. So long from IRP.